guys, Shakani Tabby here, aka Shay, and it is 2020, and you are watching episode 20 of The Creative Quest. Love the kitty. That might be it. Welcome back to The Creative Quest, guys, and Happy New Year. It's a little late of a Happy New Year by the time you probably are seeing this video, but all the same, Happy New Year. And in this episode, I just wanted to talk about 2019, kind of recap, and forecasting 2020, and share with you all some of the things that I learned and accomplished in 2019, and the things that I'm looking forward to learning and accomplishing in 2020. So, to start off, if you look at the list of goals that I made for 2019, and you just look at the plain data, 2019 looks like it was a massive failure. I only read 3 books out of the 11 that I had planned on reading, and I only really accomplished 1 of the personal goals I wrote down, 1 out of 4, and none of the creative career goals I had actually came to pass. So again, you would think that, oh man, that is pretty bad. I didn't really accomplish anything in 2019, but really, I decided to take a more optimistic approach and look at it a little bit differently. So my close friend circle and we decided to create this tradition of coming up with a word for the year that can kind of be an umbrella mindset going into the next year. And mine was persistence. And so I made personal goals and I made career goals. And in my career goals, because of scheduling and different just things that were out of my control, a lot of those career goals didn't happen, but I stayed persistent in continuing to pursue my creative craft with career goals in mind. So even though a lot of the recording stuff was delayed, I continued to write songs, I continued to play guitar, and I found roundabout ways to engage my creativity and acquire knowledge and sharpen skills that directly affect my creative career, even though my specific goals were probably not going to happen that year because of whatever reasons. So that kind of leads into something that I did a lot of in 2019, which was continuing to educate myself spiritually, financially, and occupationally. So I listened to a lot of podcasts, and I listened to a lot of podcasts that surround faith and spirituality. I also listened to a lot of podcasts that talk about building a music career and music marketing and creativity and the creative life. And then I also have listened to podcasts, about just entrepreneurship and things like that. So in continuing to educate myself and continuing to practice my creative craft, I accomplished a lot within those things and I learned a lot. So I wrote a good amount of extra songs on top of what I had already coming down the pipe. I learned a lot about, what I need to learn more about, and I learned a lot about just kind of the holes that I have and where my strengths and weaknesses are and things I need to work on and gaps I need to fill in my creative development and my career development and my personal development. So even though 2019 was a lot about waiting for certain things to happen so I can accomplish the goals that I had set, I was able to do a lot of other exploration that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to do if everything went according to plan. So this kind of showed me that just because your goals that you set at the beginning of the year don't go to plan doesn't mean that you're a failure at the end of the year when you're evaluating those goals. It's what are you going to do with the changes that come your way? How are you going to grow and learn and expand as those things change? So that's the most important thing, is not, okay, let me check this off the list, but okay, how can I adapt to the situation and the way that life is coming to continue to grow, and how can I channel that energy and channel that effort in a roundabout way to feed back into my primary goals? So for example, this YouTube channel is a perfect example of that. So when I was okay, recording is delayed and I'm not going to be able to accomplish these things, what else can I do to expand my creativity? Write more songs. But of course I was why don't I get into video? Why don't I learn about video? Why don't I experiment with YouTube and apply my creativity in a different way? And so that kind of launched this YouTube channel. And in the process of doing this YouTube channel, I learned a lot about how much work it takes to be a full-time creative person, and how much technical knowledge it takes these days to have a career in full-time creativity. Like, you have to know a lot about a lot of different tools in order to be successful as a creator in our digital world. That kind of pushed me to figure out what I can actually do with the tools that I have. Like, I don't have the most expensive and up-to-date tech stack. Like, I have a really old MacBook. I don't have a $2,000 DSLR camera. Like, what kind of tools can I acquire and what tools can I afford? What can I actually do with those tools to create something really cool? And what kind of tools do I not have that would make things easier and more efficient that I need to invest in the future? So through, writing more songs, doing the YouTube channel, all of that, I started to kind of pour into social media and digital online presence a little bit more. And so that's something really cool that happened in 2019 is I began to see growth in just online presence and influence, which is really cool. And that's continuing now in 2020 with this 1 riff a day challenge that I'm doing. I'm seeing that grow as well, which is neat. So other things that accomplished in 2019 was we did accomplish recording. We recorded You the Few drums. And we also finished recording 3 songs for my solo project, Those Who Wander. And we weren't able to launch anything, but we did make some progress in the creative development of those projects. So that brings me to 2020. 2020's word is bravery. So there's a lot of really exciting things happening in 2020 for me personally and creatively that's going to require a lot of bravery to accomplish and see through. So of course, one of these things is the new music projects coming out, Those Who Wander and You the Few. Both of those records are going to be released this year. Very, very excited about that. And, it takes a lot of bravery to put yourself out there in that way and kind of be vulnerable with your art. And I'm going to be experimenting with a lot of new marketing strategies and things that I've been learning over the past couple of years, actually. And so this is another thing that I'm going to continue to do in 2020 is to continue to educate and develop knowledge in digital marketing, specifically for musicians, not only for musicians and creators, but also for businesses in general. And so I'm actually taking digital marketing courses right now through a couple different agencies, and I'm becoming really, really passionate about marketing, and especially for musicians and artists who don't really think about that. And I'm actually wanting to get into that field professionally as well so that I can help other musicians become successful with their art. But first I have to test it out on myself before I start offering those services or anything like that. I want to actually get a good handle on it on my own. But I'd also like to explore employment opportunities in marketing and things as well for businesses, just to continue to expand my reach and creativity in other ways. So that brings me to Creative Quest. What can we expect from Creative Quest this year? I didn't do a super good job of being really, really consistent all the way through the year last year with Creative Quest because I just had so much on my plate that when around October hit, I started to fall off the map with this channel. And I really tried hard not to beat myself up about that, but I really do want to establish a better consistency this year with the Creative Quest. And I kind of learned what I can and cannot handle with my current schedule, and also what I can and cannot handle when it comes to my gear and it comes to the equipment that I'm using. And so I'm going to be scaling back quite a bit with the Creative Quest, and I'm going to only put out 2 episodes a month. One is just going to be solo, just me, this episode is. And then the other episode will be more like episode 19 with Julian Stans, which was a artist interview style, and talking about creativity and talking about artist life and really opening up the artist brain and musicians' brains and getting us talking and putting that out there. I feel like people really responded to that really well and they want to see more of that. And the last thing is I've got some really big personal changes that will be coming in 2020 that I can't really disclose yet right now, but I will be sharing that in later episodes as we get into the spring and approaching the summertime. So with that, the next episode of Creative Quest is actually going to be an interview with my husband, Nick Tebby, and we're going to be digging into the audio world. The audio engineering and production world is very much a part of the creative process, and it is its own creative craft that's really important to the success of artists and I really want to dig into his brain because he has a lot of really amazing things to offer and a lot of thoughts and concepts that are very valuable to creative people, especially in the music world. Artists and audio engineers and producers can kind of like exist in different worlds and can sometimes have a hard time connecting and understanding each other. And so I think that conversation is going to be really helpful. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you all the new content that I'll be rolling out around my musical projects. I'm looking forward to interviewing other artists and creatives and giving you guys some really great valuable content there, and continuing to talk to you guys about my own personal creative journey. If you've liked the kind of content so far that's been put out on this channel, or if anything that I've shared thus far in this episode sounds intriguing to you or exciting to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like this video, share it with a friend, and I will see you guys next time right here on The Creative Quest.